Díomh a cóide, agus tá fáilte arás. Hello friends and welcome back to the Grá Mòr Léan podcast. It's Michelle Léan na Gúil. I am Elaine Doyle, your host, and it is with deep, heartfelt gratitude that I welcome you back to this sacred space. How are you getting on? What is the crack? This is episode number 5 in the Grá Mòr Léan podcast. Again, just to reiterate what Grá Mòr Léan means before I go into a possibly very long ramble of the heart. So yeah, Grá Mòr Léan means the soil or the earth of my heart. So this is a space where I literally drop into my heart and see what needs to come true. And I laugh to myself here, friends, because, you know, when we get out of the head and come into our hearts without any agenda or plan, I don't know what's going to come true. and that does definitely feel a bit vulnerable and also exciting. And yeah, you know, I am conscious that it's been a few weeks since I recorded an episode, and I was like, you know what, will I just go on and record a topic that would be good to talk about? You know, like have a plan instead of really maybe just dropping into my heart. And I'm just not able to do that. I'm not able to pre-plan or have a preconceived idea of what I think it is the listeners need to hear or what I think I need to talk about. So then that kind of requires spaciousness to really just drop into Mòr Léan and trust. So yeah, here we are back again together. It's lovely to have you here. And I really mean that, because when I sit down to record this, I actually can tap into the energetic field of the listeners, and it feels really conducive, as in the people who are listening. I know you are an extension of my soul and myself and my tribe and soul family. So good to be here with you all. Just a little admin thing to say as well. I am recording this episode in my house, as I always do, and I live beside quite a busy road. Even though I'm in the countryside, it's quite a busy road, and the microphone seems to pick up the cars going past, so I do apologise for that. There has been times on my journey where I literally felt like putting up a sign outside my house, been like, girl going through extreme spiritual awakening, can you slow the F down? I don't know about you, but I am like super, super, super sensitive to noises. I just want to live remote, so remote that there's no car noises. So calling that in, spirit. I was on my friend's land yesterday, and he lives so far down a lane in the middle of nowhere, you actually can't hear anything but the birds and the stream. And oh my goddess, is my heart and soul and body needing that level of stillness and quietness right now. So yes, Shine on the admin. So here we are. It is the 1st of July 2023, and we've just passed through, or I feel like we're still in the midst of, the summer solstice energy, the midway point where the sun is at its strongest and highest, the longest day of the year. And I just had a quick glance at my Celtic Wheel of the Year calendar, and it describes the summer solstice as a time of reaching our fullest potential, strength and power. And I just want to start off this episode speaking about my experience of this year's summer solstice energy. And as I'm sure I've said it already, like I really am deeply connected to the Wheel of the Year, to the seasons and to the turning of the seasons, i.e. the 8 festivals throughout the year: summer solstice, winter solstice, the equinoxes, the fire festivals, Beotna, Lunasa. Didn't say them in order, but sure, that is exactly where my brain is at right now with the solstice energy. So yes, I'm following the Wheel of the Year. Okay, and what I've been really learning since I started following this way of being with the seasons and the cycles and the Wheel of the Year is that no matter what the external season is, it's all about our inner season, especially as women when we're bleeding. We're such cyclical beings. And this year, for me and my community, most people I have talked to, it seems as though the light being so strong shone a light on everything. All of people's shadows and darkness. So if you think about it, when you have like a really bright fluorescent light on in a room, it literally shows up all the dust, everything in the room. And I'm in the midst of doing priestess training with the wonderful, amazing Deirdre Wadding down in Wexford, Loch Garman. And when I heard her say that, she was like, yeah, it's a time of celebration and strength and power, but it's also a time where the light shines a light on so much darkness because the light is so bright. So and I'm laughing because I'm like, I don't know if there's any time on the Wheel of the Year where we're not being motivated or pushed into looking at the darkness, really. Even in the midst of the summer. And that got me thinking that every single day we've got night and day. Every single month we have got a full moon and a dark moon. Every single month we as women, we bleed, we're in an inner winter, and we're ovulating where we're in our summer. So every day, every month, we're in both the light, we're transversing both the light and the dark, whether we're in winter or in summer. So yeah, I think that's been my big realization, that like it's always about the light and the dark. Just sipping on some rose tea here and cacao, which is just a sign as well. I usually only drink cacao in the winter, but my body is just needing that little bit of extra nourishment as well. So yes, the last week or so around the solstice, usually every turn of the wheel, I'm out on the land in community celebrating, and I was just absolutely so exhausted that I wasn't able to go anywhere. Now I was down in a friend's house in Wexford, so we got to go to the beach, but I was meant to go to a very special piece of land, and have a fire ceremony on solstice, the night of the solstice, and I just couldn't. I was just so exhausted. And from talking to a lot of people, they had a similar experience. It was a very winter kind of energy. And luckily I did get other times to celebrate the solstice, which I'll probably get to in a minute. But yes, the energy of the sun was so bright and was bringing in so much frequencies and energies that a lot of us just needed to be still and in solitude. And I'm still deeply feeling that energy right now. And it's a very personal thing. But then, as I said, a lot of my community who are deep on this path with us felt that way too. But I do want to get across that, like, I've kind of felt personally in a very long inner winter for quite a number of years now. And in fairness, I actually have heard a lot of astrologers and healers talk about this, that since 2020, the Great Awakening has been really coming on. A lot of transformation and healing happening, that a lot of us are in an inner winter because we're shedding so much old states of consciousness, fear, ancestral trauma, social conditioning, that we are feeling in a winter, and winter being a time of shedding, releasing, resting, being. And it was Andrew Smith, a very well-known astrologer, who talked about this. He said we're in a very much collective inner winter. It's like that time when the woman is bleeding and she's just releasing. And he described it like that. And I still think we are in that period. And then when the solstices happen, especially the summer solstice, we're receiving lots of new higher frequencies and codes through these thresholds where the veils are thin. And when we're receiving galactic waves of light or energy or frequencies, it can feel exhausting. And, this is why our ancient ancestors built temples that were aligned with the summer solstices. I think, you've got Stonehenge in the UK, Lochgar in Limerick, because they knew at the thresholds, at the solstices especially, so much new frequencies and energies were available to us that, if we gathered at these places and sacred sites were built on ley lines, that was a powerful place to be in order to receive these new frequencies and energies that the solstices and equinoxes bring. So yes, the reality is though, as I was saying, a lot of us were too maybe tired or exhausted to be necessarily out at specific sacred places. And no matter where we are at the same time, when we're on the healing path and we're connected to the wheel of the earth, we're going to receive these frequencies anyways, which is what I was really surrendering to. It's like, okay, I'm here. This is the only place I can physically be right now because of my energy, and I know that just being conscious of the solstice energy is enough. Which is a big thing for me. Like, I get an awful FOMO about not being out on the land, especially at sacred places at the turn of the wheel of the year, turn of the seasons even. But as a healer said to me a couple of years ago, you are the sacred site. You are the sacred waters, so just chill the fuck out kind of thing. So yes, however you are feeling, surrender to it. It's really, really important that we listen to our inner season and our bodies. And trust me, I am still learning to do this and to slow down. And I can see how far I've yet to go with that due to my bleed, which is a whole episode in itself, but I've been bleeding more frequently than usual. And I can see how it's my body's definitely signalling for me to slow down even more. And as women, our womb and our bleed will tell us so much about our physical, spiritual and emotional health. And like it reminds me of lockdown. Everybody loved lockdown. No, sorry. Oh my gosh, can't believe I just said that. Many of my friends on the healing path really enjoyed lockdown. I mean, a lot of people did actually, in terms of like full permission to do nothing, rest, say no to things that weren't in alignment. Actually, a lot of people did enjoy that. And now I know a lot of people had a lot of difficulties, but there was that aspect of it that people enjoyed. Even I noticed my parents really enjoyed that. I never felt as rooted in my life during 2020 when I couldn't go anywhere. And why is that? Because a lot of the times we're going against what our body needs. We're saying yes, we're going here, there and everywhere when actually we need a fucking lockdown. And we can create that ourselves, right? Without all that oppressive tyranny bullshit that went on a couple of years ago. But anyways, can't believe that happened. Like, anyways, I'm not even going to get into that right now. So like for example, my friend was asking me if I wanted to go to a music festival today with him, and I was like, I'd love to go to Galway and dance and have the crack, but I'm absolutely wrecked, like. And it's hard because I love having the crack and having fun, but I've spent my whole life doing that. Doing, achieving, having the crack, going here, there and everywhere. And it was amazing. But like, I just feel like I'm in a very special, sacred time of my life, which is to anchor and be with my process. And to really learn how to listen to my internal season and my body. Now, saying that, I am a very devoted person to tribe and community. But it's about just being really selective about what we go to right now, I feel. Yeah. And here we are, probably halfway through the episode. So I think today's topic is really about, really listening to what our body needs, slowing down. What is the solstice energy actually about? I was chatting to my friend Elise about this. I was like, I'm just wrecked. She's like, how did you get on for the solstice? I was like, I couldn't move. And she put it lovely. It's like we have this yang energy from the solstice, yang being the masculine energy, the doing, the outward kind of energy of the solstice and the sun. But there seems to be this very yin energy, which is slowing down and resting. And there seems to be a little bit of a battle for a lot of us, where it's like bright for so many hours of the day. There's so many things on, happening, festivals. But I'm actually very much in my yin, which is feminine, slowing down. And I mean men and women here. I was like, that's exactly it. And I'm still learning to rein myself in, pull myself in. The yin energy of the solstice for sure. I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, I think it might have been 2020. And I was out sitting on the earth and I was like, why, Mother Earth, are we feeling this very yin energy in the midst of summer? So actually this has been, as a team for me for a couple of years now, as I said. And she was like, well, this is the message I received. She was like, humanity has gone against the natural ways, has gone against their inner season, has gone against being in sync with the external seasons for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So it's going to take a while for you to sink back in sync with them. And now as you finally start to reconnect with them, you are in an inner winter because you're unraveling from all the old ways. And learning what it is to be in sync with your inner and outer season. And that really, makes sense for me. And maybe that was a personal message for me, but I do think for a lot of us it's like, and I just want to be really careful that like I'm just sharing really my own personal experience. I don't want to say anything is factual here. Grá Mòr Léan. Musings from my heart. I spent 30 years of my life achieving, manifesting this, that and the other, and bang, 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 getting it all done, ticking all the boxes. And I was definitely in flight or fight mode, running off adrenals, not connected at all to my inner season, my womb. And when I finally halted that in 2019, I entered an inner winter. And a winter is, again, a time of shedding and releasing and cleansing and unraveling. And it can take a long time to unravel from old ways of being, basically. And I am still in that process. I am. And a lot of us are, we really are. And I met up with a friend yesterday who I just recently reconnected with after a couple of years of us not being in each other's lives. And they were just saying how they've really missed the conversations we have, because it reminds him of old ways of being that have seeped back in, right? So I'll explain that again. If we're not around newer tribe and community on a regular basis who are reminding us, wait, now that seems like ancestral trauma is playing out, or you're falling back into that mindset that if you're productive, then you're worthy and you're lovable, or I had a good day because I got a lot done. And when we're around newer community, they can say, oh, you're falling back into that. And how important it is to be around people who will reflect back to us when we're not in our higher selves and we're falling back into those old ways of being. And when we were chatting about that, it made me realise that I, even after years of being on the path, I still fall back into old ways. But I'm very lucky that I have a very good tribe around me that will help me come out of that. And help, obviously pull me out of it myself as well through journaling and meditating and all these spiritual practices that we need to do. So yeah, I mean, I can't even remember what I really spoke into in other episodes, but I do feel like that this is something maybe I've mentioned before and I'll continue to talk about a lot, is really, really listening to our bodies as we step onto or are deep in the healing, remembrance, spiritual path. Because when we're on a deep healing path, it is extremely energetically intense on our nervous system and our bodies. And it reminds me of a really, really good video I watched. And I'd really recommend watching this if you're having difficulties understanding your levels of exhaustion while on the healing path. And it's Matt Kahn, Khan. You've probably heard of him. And it's called a video on YouTube called The End of Suffering. And yeah, since I watched it a couple of years ago, it really helped me to surrender. And he talks about how it's the body's journey when we're deep on a healing path. How, our soul can be ready to do X, Y, and Z and remember all this wisdom and stuff from other lifetimes. And the soul and the mind can really increase its thinking and consciousness rapidly. But that it can take the body a long time to integrate the new consciousness or the new downloads. I'm actually going to watch the video again because it's so good. And how we have to listen and surrender to the body, because we are a soul in a human body. We have to honour the body. We have to. An example of this is, have you ever gone to a women's circle or a men's circle or a sharing circle or a breathwork or a sweat lodge and moved a lot of energy and been exhausted for a few days? I mean, we've all experienced that, right? Or had a therapy session or whatever it is, or had a really deep, meaningful conversation with our friends or tribe, and you're exhausted afterwards. It's because your body has moved a lot of energy and it needs deep rest after that. And right now, and you'll hear all the astrologers and healers and all these people on YouTube talk about this, now we are in the midst of the Great Awakening, where there is so much portals of healing available to us from the cosmos, from the earth, that we are constantly moving old energy out, purging, releasing, healing. And that is exhausting. Beautiful, but tiring. Yeah. And I'm just really grateful for this space right now, just to remind myself of this. Now I'm like, so happy I didn't go to that festival. Yeah. This is a prophesized time where humanity would finally wake up to the distorted ways of living, the disconnection from the earth and the land and the unnatural ways, and come back into love, power, compassion, forgiveness, sovereignty, and deeply connect with the land. Prophesized time by many cultures throughout the world, indigenous tribes. And our work is the healing. And giving yourself spaciousness to rest and to be with this amazingly magical work that we're doing. Now, I'm also conscious that for many of us, especially people who have mortgages maybe from the time when they worked in the day job or things like that, actually rent seems to be more of an issue than mortgages at the moment. I went to view a house in Wexford. A small little tiny house, tiny one bed in Wexford with mould everywhere, and it was €1,300. Obviously didn't take it. Yet my cousin's mortgage in Kilkenny City for a 3-bed is €430. There's a part of me that'd be like, maybe I'd be better off if I had a mortgage a couple of years ago. But anyways, renting in Ireland is a whole other episode that I will never record because it wouldn't be high vibes at all. But anyways, what I was starting to get at there is like, there's the healing work, but there's also bills that need to be paid, whether it's rent or diesel or whatever it is. And, you know, I mean, I have friends who live off grid, live very minimally. I also do. I'm not off grid, but I do live very minimalistic and grow my own vegetables and my own, beauty products, let's say, and medicines. I make everything that I put on and in me, besides my clothes, but that's something I will make as well. Yeah, I make myself basically. And still there's my car insurance, different bills, you know, getting your car serviced and all these different things that have to be paid for. So there is actually paid work that we need to do. So I'm conscious that that's something that we have to do alongside this deep healing spiritual path. And I know I think I said it maybe in one of the episodes that I really didn't want to, not that I didn't want to, but I'm extremely conscious about the paid work that I do. It very much has to be from a deep place of integrity and doing it because I'm really guided rather than doing it because I need money. And I have luckily had different forms of income, basically a lot of savings from my day job that allowed me then to kind of live off that while I'm on the deep healing path rather than having to fucking hustle to pay bills, because spiritual capitalism is a thing. Like, seriously, you just have to go onto Instagram to see people just after I can't say the word, but moving their kind of matrixy selling stuff from their day job into the spiritual world. And it's really, to me, a lot of it isn't in integrity, but we are also allowed to make a living from our soul gifts as well. I don't know. I think it has to be, to make sure we're an expert in what we're offering, and it comes from a deep well of integrity. And I think it's, giving ourselves permission to do something like working in a coffee shop or a holistic health shop until we feel really ready to put our soul gifts out there, you know. And for me, I actually started back doing a bit of one-to-one work, and it's something I knew Spirit was guiding me to do there for a long time. And yeah, it's really, really good for my soul to be doing that again. And that's the first reason why I do it. And then secondly, it allows me then to have a bit more of an income now, and to pump money back into myself, because really that's what I use the money for that I get, which a lot of us do. So much of our money really when we're on the path is pumped right back into ourselves, whether it's through pilgrimages or healers or whatever. And yeah, I don't know really where I'm going with this, other than like, I think we really need to be smart about how we earn money while we're deep on the healing path. I know I really, really, really had to learn from my mistakes from the past, which was completely completely not charging enough from my one-to-one work, which meant I had to take on a lot more clients, and I burnt myself out. And because I am very well qualified in my area of therapy and coaching, I actually finally charged what it's actually worth, which now enables me to not take on half as many clients, yet still have the correct energetic exchange to pay bills, which then allows me to embody what I'm preaching more, because it gives me the time and space to actually, as I said, practice what I preach. So it's very important, if we are healers, light workers, and whatever it is, putting work out there, that we charge enough money, and that requires overcoming the lack mentality. I see a lot of people really underselling their workshops because they want it to be affordable for everybody. But what we're actually doing is spreading the lack consciousness, really. Because, look, we live in a very predominantly abundant country, where a lot of, let's be honest, Irish people are still spending money on things that aren't actually good for them, yet have the mentality that they couldn't afford therapy, or they couldn't afford X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you walk into the likes of Kilkenny City today, and pennies, and like the whole high street is absolutely jammers. So I am passionate about spreading the message that this is worth actually you investing your money in, and it's time to actually spend our money on what's really important. And we don't need to undersell ourselves anymore. We also don't need to overcharge, but it is really important that we really, really, really charge what our offerings are worth. And I always ask Spirit for guidance on that, and the number that comes out, I'm like, oh shit, that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable charging that amount or whatever. But I know I have to overcome that. And I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but I do feel it's actually very important when we're talking about our need for rest and solitude, to really dive deep into the healing and the portals open to us. Well, then we need to make sure that our masculine is able to provide the finances and abundant security for our feminine to really be able to relax and feel safe, because it's very hard to give yourself rest and spaciousness if you don't feel like you have enough abundance coming in to pay the bills and stuff. I probably will do another episode on this, because and I'm sure a lot of people who are deep on the path know this, but when we really trust the Mother Earth and Spirit, money will actually come in for lots of different forms and ways, without us even actually needing to do offerings or work as well, and that's important to say. So there is an affirmation. It's something like this that I say: I'm open to receiving limited amounts of abundance from a limited and abundant universe. Or I'm open to receiving money from many different avenues. Just little things like that, because I've definitely received so much abundance in different ways over the past few years, completely unexpectedly. And I know it was because the universe was saying, well done for stepping on the heart-led path, for stopping and resting and listening to yourself. We're going to reward you now. An example of this was getting my superannuation back from Australia. So if anyone was there and their visa is now expired, you will get superannuation back. People give me clothes all the time, like natural. I only wear natural materials, which is something that I feel is really important. Otherwise we're literally wearing plastic on our bodies, which definitely affects our vibration and frequency. And I just get people giving me like cotton dresses and what else do I get? Oh yeah, like off invites to people's retreats and workshops and lots of different things. So yeah, and that's because I'm on the heart-led path. So when we're open to receiving all the abundance, we will actually get money and abundance in lots of different ways. So just trusting that. And that's been, a big journey for me. And I think I mentioned it in one of the other episodes, but I think I did, but I'm going to say it again. When I left the day job, I was on, I don't know, probably 65 grand a year. Now you get a lot of tax in Ireland, but anyways, yeah. So when I left the day job, I was literally like, I remember being up in my house in Donegal after I left, and I was like literally waking up every day afraid about money. I was like, how am I gonna survive? Like, am I gonna die of hunger? It was really intense. And I know a lot of Irish people feel this very much scarcity and fear around money because of the famine. Like, so much of our ancestors literally died from hunger. It was a genocide, but whatever. Whole other episode again. And it took me a long time to overcome that fear around abundance and money. And coming deep into a place of trust that I will always be provided for. And when you trust and you're open to receiving, abundance, I promise, will come to you. It will. And yeah, I actually feel like this is the solstice energy actually coming through, which is, Beoutness solstice is this fertility and abundance energy. Right now I'm making a lot of medicines and foraging. There is so much amazing medicines and flowers and plants out there right now, and that teaches us abundance, right? And for those of you interested, I'm actually doing an online workshop next Friday, the 7th of July, around how to make sacred medicines, which I'm really, really passionate and excited about. Because these plants around us, no matter where you are, really, really help us with our healing and remembrance journey. And yeah, when I go out and I see the St. John's wort, which is in abundance right now, and it actually literally raises our vibration. It's a natural antidepressant. And I just see it everywhere around us, just like the roses, which is good for the heart, the elder, the meadowsweet, which is good for anxiety and fevers. I'm like, it just teaches me so much about abundance and how much we are provided for. So even if we are feeling slightly exhausted from all the energies, this beautiful solstice energy And the abundance with the sun and the light right now is so healing and magical. I mean, it always is that, even if we are exhausted. But there's many beautiful ways right now to really tune into this beautiful summer solstice energy, without needing to over exert ourselves. Whether it's by just having, sitting out in the sun, sipping on some meadowsweet or rose tea, and just, allowing the sun to penetrate us, allowing it into our eyes and our skin. And something I just want to mention there. Sunglasses, not really new art, I don't think. They're not allowing the sun to penetrate our eyes with new consciousness. So it's really important. I stopped wearing sunglasses years ago. Not telling you what to do, but just opening your eyes to that. And aloe vera gel as a natural sunscreen. Oh my God, the absolute toxicity of sun creams is absolutely disgusting. So there's a bit of summer solstice tips. No to sunglasses and sun cream. What did our ancestors do? They sat in the shade. And when they weren't in the shade, they were allowing the sun to penetrate them. So yes, some random bits there from my heart. So yes, Shinee, I think, for now on that. And just something that I noticed in my own community as well is a lot of people feeling, naming it as sickness the last 10 days or 2 weeks. A lot of kind of like sinuses or hay fever, head cold kind of symptoms. When I hear the kind of tribe and community talking about similar symptoms, then I know there's something bigger at play, and it's more than just pollen. It's usually, well, in my opinion, it's like ascension symptoms, and it's the energies of the solstice bringing in so much new waves of consciousness that we're feeling it in our crown chakra, which is the place where we receive the downloads. So if you've been feeling congested or stuffy, or feeling like you have a lot of hay fever, perhaps it's not just that physical kind of aspect. It's actually ascension solstice energies. And another, there's a few different theories I have on it as well, is that we just come out of Gemini season, and the shadow side of the Gemini can be overthinking a lot, which can cause congestion in our head, which can lead to sinuses or head colds. And the third theory is flus or colds a lot of the time come when we're not actually listening to our body and we're not resting enough. So making sure to really slow down when those symptoms come on board. And when I say those things out loud, I'm like, it's definitely a combination of all three for me. Calming the mind, slowing down, and then just knowing that it's the solstice energy coming through my crown chakra. And I've just been reflecting on there. What have I noticed? What themes have I noticed in terms of healing through this solstice portal? Because at different turnings of the seasons, different things will arise for us. So I'm just going to see if anything comes to me, because it might resonate with you. What themes have been coming up for me? Yes, so Goddess Anya is the goddess associated with the summer solstice in Ireland. And Anya actually has a very unique story where she was actually there's a story about her being sexually assaulted and how she bit the ear off the person who assaulted her. And when I heard this story from my teacher Deirdre a few weeks ago, just before the solstice, it made me realise that was definitely a theme that was coming up for me around the solstice. And I might have actually mentioned it in one of my previous episodes about divine union and fear-tainted love. So yeah, when I heard Anya's story, it made me realise there was a lot coming up for me around fear of the masculine. And I just had a few different incidences these past couple of years with men where I didn't really feel safe. And I was dreaming about it before the solstice, and I was like, if a man ever crosses a boundary with me again, not that I'm going to bite his ear off like Goddess Anya, but I'm definitely going to speak my truth. So that's something I really struggled with, if a man, and this isn't anything against men, I'm just, stating my experience. Had this incident where the man, the well that I go to, this older man was touching my leg and my arm, and it was completely inappropriate, and I just wasn't able to say anything. And I know Goddess Anya was like, now is the time to just be like, I'm really not comfortable when you do that, or actually telling someone to fuck off if needs be. So that was a theme that was coming up for me around the solstice. It's like, I'm finally going to speak my truth now with people who are being appropriate to me sexually. And yeah, just a lot of healing happening for me with the masculine. The theme of divine union is still very strong for me. I've said it a few times, but since I bought this claddering at Beautna, I've had so much amazing, beautiful men come into my life, and I went on a few dates with this beautiful man, and it has brought such deep healing to my relationship with the masculine, and showed me has showed me how much I've been settling in the past, and how much how much healing I needed around how to actually be in a relationship with a man, and what I'm actually wanting to really call in. So that's been beautiful the last few weeks, just really enjoying being in his amazing healing presence. I could definitely dedicate an episode to this. It's been, I'm finally at a place where I just seem to be really calling in such beautiful men who are so deeply dedicated and devoted on their path. It's been very, very healing for me. What else? What other themes have been coming up around the solstice? So union, speaking my truth. Truth has been coming up a lot. And it made me realise that our mission is Firana, which is the Irish word for truth, and love. It's not just about, love is truth is love, but have no choice now but to speak truth. Like, you know, sometimes I'll go away on a pilgrimage with friends and I won't make my needs be known, and I'll just go along with things and not speak my truth or my needs, and then end up having a fucking chest infection because I couldn't get it off my chest how I was feeling. And now, thankfully, I'm at a place where I have no choice but to speak my needs and truth. And I think a lot of people on the path are feeling that as well. We just can't do anything that's not in alignment. Whether it's like, do you want to go for a coffee? No. Like, I can't even do that. You can't even go for dinner if I don't want to go for dinner. It's like really extreme right now. Like, I've definitely been feeling this in the lead up to the solstice, which is absolute fucking truth on every level, in every minute. And for those of you, you might, maybe some people have noticed this who follow me online, but there's been a lot of things that have actually completely disappeared and fallen away from my life recently. And not out of like trying to or wanting to push these things away, rather they just naturally fell away because I have really, really, really stepped into my own truth. And you know, when me and my friend Aoife went to visit our friends in Wales, it was just such a magical experience. They live on the most sacred piece of land, and there was just such deep resonance for us as a tribe, because we have a very deep shared mission. Like, the resonance was just so huge that I was like, wow, this is a sign of how much I've stepped into my own truth and sovereignty and allowed everything else to fall away naturally. So what I'm saying is, when we step into truth, it can be difficult because certain things will fall away, but then we have this massive, massive, massive reward because we step into more people who are really on that level of truth and alignment with us. So that was a beautiful celebration in Wales with the New Art tribe. And what I want to say about that as well is, and I'm sure I've said it already, but so much of us are afraid to step into truth because those around us will actually maybe not be as loving towards us as they once were. The truth will hurt a lot. Our truth will hurt a lot of people. So an example of this is when I left the day job. Like, I was a senior social worker in one of the busiest hospitals in Europe, right? My dad was probably very proud of me and everything. And his face nearly hit the floor when I told him I was leaving. And it's been very difficult for my family to see me completely change my life around. And a lot of people that I worked with, one-to-one coaching, they were afraid to do what they really wanted to do because of what their family would think. And even people who are very spiritual, sometimes we go along with the family narratives or the family matrix so our parents will continue to love us. And the reality is we have grown up in a lot of situations where the love from our parents and our family felt very conditional. I love you if you are a certain way and you do what you're told and you tick the boxes and you marry the man down the road and have 3 kids by the age of 35, and I'll be really proud of you then. And it'll be easier to love you then. That's definitely been my experience anyway. Of course, they do love us unconditionally, but it can be very hard for them, some of them, to love us when we're going completely against the narrative. I obviously trigger my family a lot. Like, I'm completely off the fucking bat, like, in terms of going against the grain. And what I realised during the solstice energy was my relationship with you is secondary. What is primary is my relationship and my fucking truth with myself. And if you can't be loving towards me when I am living my highest truth, my highest alignment, and I am fully loving myself and you, then our relationship is hindered. But that's secondary, if that makes sense. So my primary mission here is to be in truth and in alignment and loving towards you. But if you can't love me when I am in truth, when I am love, when I am in alignment with my highest calling and my authenticity, then so be it. So what I learned was my relationship with certain people in my life and my family, having that perfect is not absolute priority. Being my truest self is actually all of our priority, really, is to be truth and love. And if you can't be loving towards me when I am fully in love, fully in truth, fully in my own authenticity, then I'm willing to create boundaries in our relationship. And of course, you know, a lot of our families, even though they can't show it, they do love us unconditionally. But if they can't actually be loving towards us, we're allowed to have boundaries. And it was a friend that really helped me point that out, because he said to me, like, yeah, you've been living at home for a while now, how are things? And I'm like, well, the more I come into truth and alignment and authenticity, the more distance I'm seeing between me and my family. And he was like, yeah, well, what's your ultimate priority? And my ultimate mission is to be in truth and love. And whatever relationships are meant to be sustained within that will be. And I know for my family that we will all come into love and alignment with one another eventually, because they are amazing. But so I hope some of that makes sense. We are allowed to be around people who love us unconditionally and love our authentic truthful selves. And this is where soul family and tribe really come in, really being around people who really get the weird, feral part of you. And that might not be your family of origin, and that's okay. You know, we can try our hardest when we're on the spiritual path to have a really good relationship with our family. But if they're really struggling with how in truth we are, we're allowed to have boundaries. So yes, solstice. Yeah, so there are some of the things that this solstice has brought up for me. So yeah, maybe some of that resonates. So yes, Shin A, which means that's it on my take on, or my experiences of the summer solstice energies, how I've been feeling physically, and what kind of things have been coming up for me to see and heal. I'm not sure if I said this already, but sure, look, I might be in the habit of repeating myself, but my plan, I feel now, between this summer solstice energy and the Lunasa energies that are coming at the start of August in between, is to rest and be. And just anchor myself here with the plants and the trees. And it just was reminded of July last year. I did the exact same thing. I really didn't go far at all. I find the lead up to the Lunasa and the Lionsgate portal really intense. A lot comes up to be purged before Lunasa, before we can really harvest. So yeah, just tuning in for yourself, what is it that you really need this month? Do you really want to be off doing X, Y, and Z, or do you just want to be in your own process and in your own body and in your own season? And just, enjoying the sun from the land you live on. So yeah, that's it. Thank you once again for tuning in, for being with me in this heart space, this truth, this authenticity, for receiving all of my musings. And it's a real honour to share this space with you. So enjoy the summer and the sun, and I will see you in the next episode. Grá agus bannochtaí. Love and blessings, and slán go fóill. Bye for now. Lots of love.